Hi everyone, my name is Blake. Welcome. I wanted to kick off this series on my channel where I talk about underrated and underhyped books because I feel like oftentimes in the book community we love to talk about books that are popular. It's fun to be a part of the hype. But I feel like a lot of books get overlooked, and I really want to shine a spotlight on some of these. And today I have two new fantasy releases that feature dark or cursed forest. And I am a big fan of the forest setting, so I wanted to highlight these and just kind of give you a should you read for these because it is spooky season and I think these would be great picks. And up first, I have The Butcher of the Forest by Primi Muhammad. In this novella, we are following our main character, Varys, who is an older woman, and she is the only person to ever go into the cursed woods and come back out. And the king calls her to him, and two of his children have gone missing, and he sends Varys to get them. And Varys packs a little bag of food, and she has three little icons to guide her. And that's kind of the setup for the story. And I think this book is a great spooky read because we have this story that feels like a Grimm's fairy tale. It's very dark. We have a decaying and rotting forest. We have dead animals that are alive and moving around. We have monsters that are humanoid sometimes and other times very different. So it does have that element of cosmic horror to it. And we have, bones sticking out, organs showing, all kinds of creepy stuff. And it does have that element of familiarity to it because we have seen a lot of these tropes before in stories, right? Don't eat the food in the forest. Be careful about what you say. Don't stray off the path. But also this book has kind of an emotional layer to it because we really explore who is the real monster of this story. Are they the monsters in this forest or the people of this world? And the monsters of the forest kind of parallel to the monsters in Varys's own personal life or the demons of her past, I guess. Also, I will say that this book is a rather tense read because we do have a timeline. We have to get these children back to the king in a timely fashion or else he will kill the village. And Varys can't stay in the woods too long because she'll get trapped there. So we have this element of we have to hurry. I feel like this novella could have been a full-length novel because we explore a lot of different aspects of the story. And we get a lot of hints and a lot of references to things that I think were really cool, but we don't really get to dive deep into those things, unfortunately, because of the length of this novella. I will also say that this book has a really surprising ending. I was not expecting the ending that came, and it has kind of an open ending. And I know that some people are not a fan of that. And I wanted to talk about the writing style because it is flowery, and I know that some people aren't always a fan of that, myself included. And while some parts of this felt repetitive or over the top, I think that the descriptions were really wonderful. In Varys's village, they are preparing for the fall harvest, and they're talking about the wheat fields and the changing colors. I thought those were really amazing descriptions. And we also have this very dark atmosphere in this forest, and I think those descriptions were really good. And I loved the feeling of dread that is kind of written in through the forest section. This creeping feeling of the woods watching Varys. I think that was really great as well. And there were some really beautiful quotes included throughout this novella as well. I also want to mention that my ebook copy of this does not have any chapters or page breaks. And that really kept pulling me out of the story because I was just looking at a wall of text. I feel like most people won't notice or care, but I definitely noticed, and I definitely was bugged by it. So if you are someone who is bugged by that, I don't know, maybe check out a physical copy. Maybe it's different. I am really curious about that. I do wonder if the physical copy is different or if it was just my ebook. But yeah, weird nitpick, weird thing to complain about, but it definitely caught my attention. The book I want to talk about is The Gods of Wyrdwood by R.J. Barker. And this is an epic fantasy where we're following our main character, Kahan. And he was taken from his family at a young age because he was destined to be the chosen one. He was supposed to become the Khal Rey and be the ruler for this god. But after all of that vigorous training he did to achieve that, a different Khal Rey was chosen for a different god, and Kahan kind of ceased to be important, and he now lives on the fringes of society. He lives a really solitary life. He no longer believes in the gods, and he wants to be left alone. He doesn't want to be involved in the politics or religion of this world. But through the events of this book, he is kind of forced to get back into the thick of things, even though he doesn't want to. And I really like Kahan as a character. He is a forester, and he has a special connection to the forest. And there are 3 forests that we kind of see in this, and as we go through them, they become weirder as they go. But these forests have trees with power. They have ancient gods. They have these tribes that live within them, these statues, lots of Lovecraftian types of monsters, lots of tentacles, lots of eyeballs, lots of teeth. And we also follow a secondary POV of Curvin, and she is our main villainess. And she is incredibly power hungry. She is already in a position of power, but she wants to guarantee that her son becomes the next Khal Rey. And in order to do that, he has to become a killer. And she will do anything she can to make sure that he becomes this Khal Rey, even though he doesn't want to be the Khal Rey. And so they have a very abusive and toxic relationship. And the lives of these 3 characters kind of becomes intertwined. And we also, sorry, my dog's laying under the tripod. And we also have a side character named Udini, and she is the monk of a forgotten god. And I really liked her interactions with Kahan in this. Whenever she was off the page, I was kind of bummed out because she was incredibly entertaining. She's constantly annoying Kahan, and she just provided this great dynamic. And it was interesting to see their interactions with one another. It was very much like a grumpy sunshine character dynamic, and I always really enjoy that. And we also had just a really interesting world in general. I will say that this is definitely epic fantasy. It is very dense. It just throws you right into the world. And I will say I was very confused in the beginning. There's a lot of names and titles being thrown around. So it did take a while to get oriented into this world. And I feel like, I haven't checked reviews, but I feel like a lot of people will find this one to be difficult to get into because at the beginning is a little confusing. So I feel like maybe people will DNF the beginning of this. But please keep going. It does make more sense as you go. And I think that R.J. Barker does write really interesting worlds. I wanted to see more of the forest because the forest kind of shows up in the middle of the book, as that's when we're really exploring this forest. It does have like an Avatar type feel to it, like the Blue People Avatar, and with the descriptions of the forest and the forest playing tricks on you, and you know, the forest lighting up at night and having its own thoughts. I wanted to see more of the forest actually, and I feel like this book is lacking in some description sometimes, because sometimes the monsters and the creatures that we saw weren't really described enough, which is fine in my opinion. Anytime a book doesn't describe something enough for me, my brain makes up descriptions for it. Like I fill in the blanks in my mind. So it's not a problem for me, but I know some people may be a little more particular about wanting more descriptions of what they're looking at. And this book also has what feel like side quests. Kahan kind of has various things that he has to do throughout the story, and it feels almost like, what was the point of that side quest? So I feel like it takes a while to get to the main plot of the story, but once we hit that main plot, I was insanely invested, and the last 200 pages of this were incredibly action-packed, and I really liked seeing Kahan kind of reflect on his past. I was really interested in that. I will say that I feel like I'm not as invested in the characters yet, but I'm hoping that changes as the series progresses. I think the sequel is slated to come out soon, if it's not already out. But those are the 2 books I wanted to talk about. Let me know if you have read them, or if you're planning on reading them, or if you're not planning on reading them. I would be very curious to hear your thoughts. Let me know, and thank you for watching. I'll see you again with another video soon. Bye!